Hey fellow foamer friends, Killer B here with another one of my little videos on understanding railroads. Well, hi again. We are going to discuss and clarify car hire versus demurrage. Why? More than once I have read a post talking about a railroad paying demurrage to another for the use of their rail cars. This is incorrect and drives me nuts to hear this. So I know the need is out there. So let's take a few minutes and clear this up. Oh, I almost forgot. Please subscribe. More of these to come. Also, although my goal is to educate, I realize that I have to entertain a little or you won't watch these. As the images that would accompany this discussion would be pretty boring, like charts and stuff, I'll just roll a passing train while I talk. So the super short version is, car hire is payments between a railroad using a freight car and the owner of the car. Demurrage is the payment from a customer who is loading or unloading a car to its serving railroad. We'll do car hire first. Originally, it was a flat daily rate set by the Interstate Commerce Commission. In 1920, for instance, it was $1 per day. It was called per diem, which is Latin for by the day. You may also hear it pronounced as per diem. In 1964, the flat daily rate was replaced by prescribed daily rates based on the car's original value and how old it was. A separate per mile rate, known as the mileage rate, was added in 1970. As the car aged, its per diem rate declined. Per diem was intended to reimburse a car owner at a rate equivalent to the average nationwide cost of owning a freight car. There was continual debate if it was set at the proper amount or not. Whoever had possession of a car at midnight had to pay the day's per diem to the car owner. You may have heard the term per diem run. A railroad would try to deliver as many cars as possible to a connecting railroad prior to midnight so as not to be stuck with the day's car hire. The tracking by the railroads of how much to pay for the use of others' cars was an accounting nightmare before computers. Lists of cars that were interchanged between railroads had to be mailed to the railroad's car accounting office. Clerks kept big journals by hand, recording each car and when it came online, when it was delivered off, and then calculated the amount due. The use of computers made large productivity gains. It paved the way for a big change in 1979. The change from it being a daily charge to it being hourly. Now it was how many hours you had possession of a car. As the term per diem didn't really apply anymore, the term car hire came more into usage. Car hire as it stands now has three components: an hourly charge, a mileage charge, and if applicable, an appurtenance hourly charge too. These are supplemental things on a car, like the rack on an auto rack car. Often the car might be, say, a TTX car, but the rack will be owned by a railroad. Another big change came in 1994 when car hire deprescription started taking effect. Now market forces and negotiation between the car owners and the users would determine the car hire rate, not a table. For example, say you have two gondolas, each hauling steel bars. One car is 5 years old, one car is 30 years old. Both cars are providing equal value to the railroad. So why should one be worth half of what the other is? With deprescription, hourly rates and mileage rates still continue, but they are determined by negotiation. A railroad may receive a different amount for a 50-foot boxcar than they do for a covered hopper. A railroad may receive a different amount for their 50-foot boxcar from Railroad A than they do from Railroad B. Different rates may be negotiated for different car series. A rate can be forever or just set for a period of time. If two parties cannot agree on a rate, A process exists to use a default rate. And there's also an arbitration proceeding that's available. RailLink, a subsidiary of the Association of American Railroads, facilitates the settlement of car hire accounts between all the railroads and car owners by acting as a giant clearinghouse. So, what does a car cost these days? Well, obviously the rates vary and they are confidential, but roughly on the low end, 20, 30, 40 cents an hour, and on the high end, maybe, well, over $1 an hour on the high end. So you're talking $5, $10, $20, $30 a day per car. Mileage is generally around 6.5 cents a mile. Now that you understand what car hire is, it should make sense now to say that it is a significant cost component for railroads. The car hire accrued by a foreign railroad-marked car terminating a load on any given railroad can be hundreds of dollars. This is an expense by the handling railroad that is added into the freight rate. So obviously, railroads strive to handle cars as quickly and efficiently as possible to minimize its time on line, and hence the car hire expense. A car delayed and spending extra time on line can turn a profitable move into a loser if more car hire than anticipated when the rate was set is paid out. The industry spends about $4 billion a year on car hire costs. Oh shoot, I forgot to mention, private marked cars, that is, non-railroad owned cars that carry an initial ending in X, except the TTX cars, do not have an hourly charge. They are mainly cars owned by shippers or by car leasing companies. They only earn loaded mileage. Such rates are based on the car's age and original value and can range from roughly 45 cents a mile to over $1 a mile. However, many railroads now stipulate in rate tariffs that they will not pay mileage. TTX cars, TTX formerly known as trailer train, are cars like T-Box, F-Box, R-Box, Gon-X, and a whole array of different marks used on flat cars like intermodal flats and auto racks. There is an hourly charge applicable to them set by the TTX Board of Directors. Okay, so in brief, that's the basics of car hire. On to demurrage. Just like the railroads hung on the cars when they were free at first and needed to be incented to return cars, which created per diem in the first place, so do some customers. Demurrage is that incentive. It has two purposes: to encourage the prompt release of cars by customers, and to compensate the serving railroad when cars are not properly released. I mean, after all, the railroad in turn is paying car hire on the cars if they are foreign cars. Demurrage also has evolved over time, and in effect has also been deprescribed. It was once set by a uniform code of demurrage rules and charges that took effect in 1910. In 1985, the ICC permitted rail carriers to set their own demurrage rules, so kind of a free market approach. Demurrage rates rose, a system of credits and debits has evolved, free time has been reduced, some railroads charge more in times of high car demand. A daily charge between $200 and $400 per car is the norm. Demurrage has become one of the more contentious points between railroads and customers, creating a lot of intense meetings. Sometimes customers refuse to pay, upset at railroad aggressiveness. Railroads threaten to sue the customer for payment. Customers can get so upset they reduce their usage of rail and shift to truck. Railroads claim victory for not giving in. Now understand that all the above is for railroad-owned cars. Because private cars do not have hourly car hire charges payable, no demurrage charges are assessed for a private car on a customer track. The car can sit there forever for all the railroad cares. It isn't costing them anything and it's not their car. However, They may charge the customer incidental switching charges if they have to keep moving around it to get to other cars. Two terms I should clarify here. When a rail car is placed on a customer track where he can unload it, that is an actual placement. If his track is full and additional cars cannot be placed and have to be held elsewhere, that is a constructive placement, or CP. A railroad marked car, while on constructive placement, accrues demurrage also. But when a private car is held out, it is usually referred to as private car storage. Now, as usual, in the interest of brevity, this is just a cursory overview. There are many intricacies I did not cover, and I'm sure some will be pointed out to me. But it should suffice for developing a general background on the subjects. And now you can see why one railroad does not pay demurrage on another railroad's cars. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Bye for now.